Azure SQL Server, you can create it by yourself, and then you can make use of this particular server. All right. Let me go to the portal. Okay, so here, right, you will have to search for databases. Okay, SQL database. Search for SQL database. Click on that particular database. So these all are the different databases which we have created. So let me show you the one which we have already created. Okay, or else let me show you how to create one. Click on this create option. You will have to choose your resource group, whatever resource group you want, you can just choose that and enter the name here. Okay, so whatever name you want to give for your database, you can just specify that particular name, and then you can select a server. Okay. All right, so if you do not have a server available, you can also create a new one. Okay, just give some name here and then click give some server name. These are, if you want to create a new database, you are supposed to give these details. Okay, initially you will go with your resource group, create a resource group, and then inside that resource group you should give a database name and then a server name. If the server is not available, then create a new server. Okay, so after that, next click on next. Here there will be no settings, which you do not have to do anything. Just click on next, 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 and then review and create. Okay. So since I'm not creating because I've already created one, so I'm not creating this. Let me close it and show you the one which I've already created. Okay. This was the one which I've created. Let me open it. If you see here, this is inside my this resource group. This is the subscription. This is the server name which I have given. Okay, Azure SQL Server December dot this thing. So I have only created till here, and this database.windows.net, that will be appended automatically. All right. Okay, so this is my server name, and then I have something called as, this is my server name, this is my resource group, and those are all the different kinds of things which I have just created. Okay. You should give your server name, database name, user ID, password. So once you give those all details, right, you will be able to create, in whichever resource group you are trying to create it, right, in that particular resource group, you will be able to see the service. Okay, so let me minimize this one and let me show you. So this is my resource group. Okay, this is my resource group. Inside my resource group, I have blob storage, data lake storage, and data factory I have, and then these are the two different servers which I have created. Okay, this is my on-premise Wala server. Okay, this is my on-premise Wala server. How can I say that? That is because of the settings symbol we have, right? This gate symbol. So that is your on-premise SQL. Normal, this is your SQL server, and this is the database. So you will have to create both these database, you'll have to create, and then server also you'll have to create. So once you create that database and server, right, you will be able to log in. Either you can log in inside your, here also you can log in with those Azure credentials, or else if you want, you can also go to that particular window here in the portal also, you can just log in. Okay. So I don't know if you have understood this topic or not, or else let me do one thing. Let me create one for you and let me then delete it. It will be better, right? You will be able to understand. So this is an important step. You just try to. If you want, you can also create a new one. Okay, so here you will have to specify your user, whatever login you want, right? User ID, username, password. You will have to type the password 2 times. Okay, so once you do that, a server will be created. All right, so let me just give some server admin credentials. Let me give something like password. Okay, so this is the password which I've just specified. Let me copy paste. Okay, I'm just creating it. So even before that, let me note it somewhere. This is my username. And what is the password? So this is my username. This is my password. Right? So what is the server name? This is the server name. If you see here, this is the server name. For this server name, this word will be appended. Okay. This is your server name and server credentials are this. And what is your database? This is your database. All right. I'm just going. If you see here, right? You can also configure your database here. Okay, so these are nothing but database transaction units. So as many number of DTUs, if you increase, that much amount of price will be charged for you. All right, so if you see here, I have selected 20 DTUs. DTUs is nothing but database transaction units. Okay, so per DTU you choose, it is 108 rupees. If you choose 10 DTUs, then into, if you choose 20 DTUs, then that particular DTU into DTU rate into 20. Okay. So this is the estimated cost per month. So it is better, since it is a free trial version, just choose the minimum whatever is there. So this GB is fine. Like it will basically, the cost will vary only if you choose your DTUs. Okay. So DTU is nothing but a database transaction unit. So based on this DTUs only, you will be charged. Okay. Since it is cloud and for every service you use, you will have to pay, right? As it is a free trial version, for the number of DTUs you are using, for and you will be given for some particular DTUs, you will be having some memory. Okay. These are useful when you want to execute your queries. All right, when you want to execute your huge amounts of queries, right? So based on that, suppose if you have a huge workload and if you want to query big data like few MBs of data, then at that point of time you will have to choose this DTUs accordingly. All right, so in projects you don't have to take care of this, because this database server and everything will already be created. Only thing is, you will be shared with these credentials, user ID, password, server name, database will be provided. So you will have to use these particular credentials and you will have to create your linked service and then use it. All right. So let me just click on apply. And then review and create. Create. It is getting deployed. Let it get deployed. Meanwhile, I'll go back to my data factory, and here, right, I will try to create a new pipeline. So what is my today's first scenario? I'll tell you how to load multiple files from on-premise SQL to Azure SQL. Okay, so this is my on-premise SQL, right? On-premise, this is my database, and inside my database I have different kinds of tables. So I will try to move data from few tables. Okay, so yesterday what have we seen? We have seen how to load from multiple tables, but then that was using variables concept. Okay, in variables we have hard coded the values there. If you remember, I have created a variable, and then inside that variable I have hard coded that. So without hard coding it, how to do it? Okay, without hard coding it inside the pipeline, I will try to do that. Okay, how to do that, I'll show you. This is one table, and this is table, and what is the other table? Okay, no problem. Let me open the file which I already have. Mm, Test files, source file, not source file. Input files. This one. Okay, So now what you are supposed to do is you will have to create one, one particular table. Okay. So one lookup file or else one input file you will have to create, which should be a text file or a CSV file. So for that you will have to specify this as header. Okay, source, serial number, what is your source table and what is your target table. So these are the tables which I want to load. So initially if you want to load hundreds of tables also, you will have to specify all those hundreds of tables whatever you want to load right onto your destination. So those all tables you will have to specify. Okay, so this is my first table, second table, third table at the source end. So similarly at the at your sync side, that is at your target side, with which name do you want to create? I want to create it with the same name. Okay, so that is why I want to that is what I want to explain it in today's session. Okay, let me just see if this particular database has been deployed. Okay, it is still taking time, let it take time. Azure SQL. Okay, so in today's session I am going to explain you how to migrate the data between on-premise SQL server to Azure SQL server. Okay, so not only one file, I'm trying to migrate three different files here. Okay, I'm trying to migrate three different files. What are they? DIM department group, DIM employee, and then DIM organization. Let me copy this also. Okay, so these are the different tables which I want to, migrate from on-premise system to my Azure cloud. So initially, what do you need if you want to migrate these things? If you want to migrate, initially I'll have to create a data set and a linked service for my on-premise SQL server, and then data set and linked service for Azure SQL server. Okay, so I'll do that. We already have on-premise SQL which we have already created right in the previous session. So let us use that only. So for now, I will try to create. If this is deployed, okay, let me just go here. Let me open. Okay, so you can see here, right, query editor bolke, this is there, right? This is nothing but your query editor. Like if you this is something like your database login, like how you log in inside your on-premise system. So this is my on-premise system which is having my SQL server. Why am I saying it on-premise? Because I have imported this adventure workspace from Google, and this is nothing but my connection related information is there, right? That is pertaining to my local system. Okay, that is my desktop BSUG. This is there, right? This is my desktop's name. So on my desktop I have configured, so this is my on-premise system, and you can also connect to your particular Azure SQL server, like whatever server you have created, right? So that SQL server also you can just configure here, and you can log in here as well. Okay, you can either connect your Azure credentials here also, or else if you want you can also log in here. Okay, just give this particular login ID is there, right? For that particular login ID, what is the password? This is the password. So you can just, okay, so what is it telling? It is telling that client with this IP is not allowed to access the server. That means there is something called as one IP is there which was not whitelisted. Okay, if you whitelist it, that means you are trying to pass this particular IP. You are trying to allow this particular IP to access your server. Okay, whitelisting means what? If you want some IP, okay, some other IP, if you want IP address, if you want to allow to access to your server, then you will have to whitelist it. Okay, you can either whitelist it by just clicking on this on the server. This is there, right? You can either click there. If you see here, updating server firewall settings, so that is one way you can do it, and the other way is you can also go back to your okay. So one thing is done. So if you want to also do it, how can you do it? You will have to go to your particular SQL database. Okay, here this is my SQL database, right? Here click on the set server firewall. Okay, so if you click on that set server firewall, you will be having some rule name, start IP, end IP. Just give some name here, not an issue. Whatever name you want, you can just specify. And after that, copy paste the IP address, whatever IP address you want to allow, right, to have access to the server. So just give that IP address here and here, and then just click on save it. Okay, that's it. So if you just do this, you can either go there and do it, or else you can go to your SQL database and then you can give those particular, you can allow those particular IP addresses. All right. So this is your normal Azure SQL Wala server. So if you want to look in the portal, this is how you will have to connect it. Or else if you want to connect here itself, you can also do that. Okay. So what is the server name here again? This is my server name. Copy paste the server name. And then what is the user ID? You can also use the same credentials as it is Azure, right? Azure related SQL Server, right? So you can also make use of these credentials, okay? But you cannot use my on-premise related credentials. Why is that? Because that on-premise system is only available in my particular local machine, right? So if you want to use also, you can use it, but then this particular on-premise system should be up and running, okay? Suppose if you want to access to this particular server, if you want to migrate the data, then you need your these particular credentials you need, and this particular SQL server should be up and running. Only then you will be able to perform your on-premise to cloud related migrations, okay? So if you want, you can just take these credentials and you can use it, or else if you want, you can also create your own as I've already shown you how to create. Okay. All right. So let me go here, and initially I want to create a linked service. Okay. Let me create a linked service. New. So what is the Azure SQL Wala symbol? This is for on-premise and this is for Azure SQL database. Okay. Just click on this particular Azure SQL database. Specify some name ls underscore January something. Okay. And then this is not your on-premise. This is your Azure only. If it is Azure, then what are you supposed to choose? Auto resolve integration IR. Okay. If you want to enter it manually, also you can enter it, because we have just created it, right? So you'll have to specify the fully qualified domain name. Domain name means nothing but your server name. What is my server name now? This is my server name. What is the database name? SQL authentication. What is the username? This is the one. And then password is. Yeah. Let me try to test it. Connection fail. Why is that? Okay, that is because here it is asking for some IP address which is not allowed. Okay, so I will have to whitelist this IP address. Let me copy it here, go back to the firewall settings, and then let me paste it here. Okay, and let me save it.
Sorry, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt you. Why we change this auto? I mean, self-hosted IR to auto?
I have not changed. This is Azure. I have not changed. It is Azure only. See?
Okay.
What is that? 2040 to 258. 2040 to 258. Okay, where am I trying to do this? December, January. Maybe I'm doing it in a wrong place. Yeah. So I was doing it in another server, so that is why I was not able to save. Now let me go back and try to test it. Okay, so actually I was trying to do that in some other service which I have already created one yesterday. So that one, it was actually going to that one, and I have updated my whitelisted my IP address in that particular service. So that is why the connection was unsuccessful even after trying 2 times. Okay, so once you update it in your correct database, right, you will be able to test this connection successfully. Let me create one. All right, so what is the one which I've created? This is the one which I've created, right? Okay. So now what I can do, I will have to go to my pipeline. Okay, so in today's session, what is the scenario? You want to migrate the data which is present in your on-premise system to your Azure SQL server. So how can you do that? Initially, what is the activity which you will be using if you want to make use of this particular copy, migration, data migration? What is the activity which you'll be using? Anybody, quick?
Copy.
Copy.
For each.
Yes,
Copy.
copy. So copy, if you have only a single, or if you are just giving a wildcard, you can make use of that. What if you have multiple, then you'll have to make use of for each activity. Okay, for each will basically work with loops. If you have multiple tables, you can use for each activity. But even before that, let me show you something. Here, this is my resource group, and where is my blob storage? Let me open my blob storage. Inside my blob storage, I should upload one file which is containing actually this data. Okay, not this one, this one. This data input file is there, right? This file I should upload in my here. Let me see. This is the one. Okay, so dim account. Okay, so I have these, this is the information which I have. Okay, these are the three tables which I want to migrate it. Okay, so these are the three different tables which are present at the source side, and these are present inside my on-premise system. I want to move the data which is present in these tables to these tables. Okay, so for that you have already specified what is the source table and what is the sync table. Okay, so this thing, how can you read this each and every row here? You can make use of that using which activity I told you yesterday. Can anybody tell me? Lookup activity. Okay, lookup activity. If you want to fetch the details which are present inside your file, you will have to use your lookup activity. Okay, so inside your lookup activity, you will point to that particular file. Let me create a new blob, be it a CSV file, not an issue. Score blob score lookup file or something. Link service will be the same. Let me browse the file. Where do I have that file? I have inside my input container. This is my input file. Let me click on OK. Click on OK. So when you are using this lookup activity, what are you supposed to do? You will have to uncheck this first row only option. Okay. And let me try to quickly validate it and debug it. Let us see what output we are getting here. Here actually we'll be getting the details. Okay, so firstly we'll be getting serial number. Inside that serial number, value will be 1, and for that is for the first record. So after that we'll be having source table, and after that we'll be having this value, sync table, and this value. That will be for the first row. For the second row also you'll be getting. For the third row also you'll be getting. If you see here, okay, so here why are we getting prop 0, prop 1, prop 2? Because we have not specified header. If you just go back to your data set, you have not checked first row as header option. Okay, if you check this first row as header option, if you validate it and debug it, then you will be getting the header appropriately. One minute. Let me put charging to my laptop. Okay, it is succeeded. Just look at the output. If you see here, since I have checked the first row as header option, now I am able to see this data. Let me copy paste it here. Okay, so if you see here, this is my first record, this is my first record, this is my second record, third record, this one. Okay, so here what is it? This is nothing but your JSON format. So here you will be having property name, and then this will be your property value. Property name, property value, name value, name value, like that. Okay, your JSON will start with a curly brace and it will end with a curly brace. It will start with a curly brace, end with a curly brace, and in between, right, you will be having property and values. Property value, property value. Nothing but column name value, like that. Okay, so if you see here, this is nothing but what does this mean? This means array symbol. Okay, inside that you will be having multiple values. Here what is this array holding? It is holding different records: first record, second record, third record. It is actually holding 3 different records. Okay, right, let me close this. So after this lookup activity, what am I supposed to do? I want to migrate the data from on-premise system to cloud, right? So for that, I should have a for each activity. And basically, on which does this for each activity work with? It will work with what? Anybody? It will work with array. So what is the array? This is the second activity. This is the first activity. Obviously, what will be the input for this? It will be
Lookup,
output
lookup
first
output.
activity. Yeah, so it will be like this. Okay, so again one more thing. So since this is what is the array actually? Here value is the array, right? So you will have to take consider output. Till output you are getting from lookup. Okay, this also you are getting from lookup. But if you see here, just put dot after this, so you will be able to get one is count and the other one is value. If you see the count is just giving me some integer value which I do not want. Since I'm passing it to for each activity will actually work with arrays, so I will have to make use of this particular value property. Okay, particular value. That's it. This is the only thing which you will be doing inside your for each activity. After that, inside the for each, what do you want? I want to copy the data from on-premise to Azure SQL. So if you want to copy the data, how can you do that? You will have to specify your source. So these are the ones which we have created yesterday, right? So let me just choose one source. Okay, so this is having some parameter. Huh? All right. Let me choose the other one. Okay. So here, right, you can just specify some query here. Okay. Inside this, let me pass some query. So what is the query which I want to pass? You know what, you want to copy the data from your on-premise SQL to Azure SQL, right? If you want to copy the data, what is the query? If you want to retrieve the data, select
Select the star from.
that particular table name. Okay,
Yep.
one more thing here, what is your which one, what is the field wherein you are having your table name? If you see here, this is my table name. Okay, so if you just go back to your portal and see, this is the one which is holding your table name, right? If you see here, this is my first table, second table, third table. So you are supposed to make use of this, or else you can go to your lookup activities output and you can also copy this. Okay, copy this particular source table, and then let me go to the portal here. Here, right click on add dynamic content. Here what am I supposed to make use of? Actually, select star from which one? So if you see, once again, you do not have a single table here, you have multiple tables. Okay, that means this is inside your for each activity. Okay, this is your for each activity. Inside that for each activity you have these are nothing but for your for each activity you are passing this array, right? You are passing array, so that array is holding 3 different values. Okay, I have 3 different columns: serial number, source table, and source sync table. So for my first thing, which is my select a star from, what do I want here? Select star from table name. So where will I get that particular table name? I'll be getting it from my source table. Okay. And one more thing, you do not have a single straightforward table name. You have multiple tables. So for every item, if you want to choose it, how can you choose it? You will have to select your current item, right? Current item. And what is the property actually? The property is your source table. So let me copy. Alright, so you cannot just directly give it like this. Okay, so you will have to make use of a concat function and then you will have to specify it. Concat. So let me just delete this here and put it here. So till here, this will be your first. Here I have additional semi-quote, that is why I'm getting error. Okay, so here actually what do I want? Select a star from is one parameter, and after that item dot source table is there, right? This is another parameter. So if you just combine these both, what you will be getting? Select a star from source table. So what is your first table in the first run? It is dim account. So after that, in the second run, what will be the one? It will be dim employee. Third run, this will be the one. Okay, in order to give it dynamically, this is the way you give it. So that is the only thing which you will be specifying inside your source part. Alright, so after that, let me create a new data set for my Azure SQL. But till now, I have not created any data set for Azure SQL. Oh, this is Azure SQL only. Oof. Let me do one thing. Let me remove it. Even before that, let me just copy this, cut, cancel, delete it. This is my Azure SQL. I'll have to choose on-premise, right? I have done it. I have chosen something else. See, this is my self-hosted integration runtime. This is the correct one. I have chosen incorrectly. Okay, now let me do this. Okay, you can either go here and do that. Paste it. Nothing. I have just chosen Azure SQL, which I'm since my sender or a source is my on-premise SQL, right? So I didn't choose the particular data set. So that is why I'm just rectifying that. All right. So this is my on-premise system, and I'm just passing the query. After that, go to your sink, choose your Azure SQL. So what is your Azure SQL? You can just create another one. Well, this is the one. Remember the symbol. Do not get confused. ds underscore Azure SQL something. And link the service we have already created. Just choose that. And here you are not supposed to give your table name. Okay. Because you do not have a single table, you have multiple tables. Let me click on OK here. Here the stored procedure name, we are not using any stored procedure. So let us just click on none here. Okay, so let us just click on that particular none option. After that, what are you supposed to do here? So not only the source, we also have something called a sync also, right? So in the copy activity sync data set, what we will have to do, we will have to create a parameter. Okay, how can you create a parameter at the sync side? Open your data set. Here click on this parameters, add a new parameter, and let me just give some table name parameter. So this will be a string, obviously, not an issue. Go back. Okay, 1 minute. So you are just creating a parameter, but its binding is important. Once you create your binding, only then it will be displayed here, right? Okay, so that is why you will have to give the binding also. So how can you give the binding? Click on this edit. Here add dynamic content. You will just have to specify this. That's it. Okay. At dataset dot that particular table name. Alright. So my destination side sync side parameter is set. Now here I'm supposed to pass the value. So till now what have I done in the sync side? I have created a parameter called a table name, and in the connection I have binded that particular parameter name, and then here after doing that this particular value will be displayed. So here I want to pass the value. Okay, since I want to for each and every run I want whatever table name I want to create, I have specified it here. Okay, so that is specified inside my sync table. So this sync table is there, right? Let me copy that sync table, and here I want to pass that value dynamically. So for the first item it will be my first table. For the second item it will be my second table, which will be taken from my this particular sync table. Okay, that is a property name, right? So if it is a for each item, what are you supposed to take? You will have to take your at the rate of current item that particular table. Okay, let me click on OK here. So even before that, let me just choose none here. You have something called as pre-copy script. Okay, pre-copy script. When do you use this pre-copy script? Suppose if you want to load data onto your destination table. Okay, if you want to load data onto your destination table, and if you feel like you do not, there is already some data present in that table, and you do not want that table's data to be present. So at that time, what you will do, you will have to write a pre-copy script which will actually truncate the data. Okay, before loading the data, you want to delete the data, whatever data is present, right? You want to delete that particular data. So if you want to truncate the data, how can you do that? You have something called as truncate table trigger. Okay. table, table name. So here I do not have a single table, I have multiple tables. So for that, how can I write a query? I'll have to make use of a concat functionality here. Inside this concat functionality, I should write this truncate table name. Again, this will be in single quotes. Truncate. What is your table name actually here? Table name is current
Source,
item.
current item, source,
Yeah,
positive.
current item dot. This is at the destination. Okay. If it is at the
Sync,
destination, then it will be your sync table.
sync.
If there are any errors, it will show. Okay, what is the error? Okay, I have missed this parenthesis. All right. So that is the part which you will be doing. Okay, so that's it. So this is the part which you will be doing. And remember one more thing, if you want to load any data from your on-premise system, or else if you want to load the data onto your Azure SQL, one limitation is there. That's it. That is, we need to have our schema. Schema should be created at target end, sync end. Okay, schema means what? Column, table name, its data type, names, column names. So once you have these right, only then you will be able to load the data. Okay, this is for multiple tables. So this limitation is for if you want to move multiple tables at once. So if you just want to move one table from on-prem SQL server to one table which is at the Azure SQL or whatever SQL, right? You do not have to create any schema. Okay, direct copy, and then you will have to make use of auto create table. You have something called as auto create table. You will just have to make use of that particular auto create table option auto create table. That is only if you want to copy a single table. Okay, so if you want to copy a single table, you do not have to worry about if the schema is present in the target end or not. You do not have to worry. Okay, so if you are trying to move multiple tables at once, if you are trying to move 10 tables at once or 5 tables at once, you will have to have those all 5 tables schema created at the target end. Only then you can migrate this particular table related data. Okay, so that thing you'll have to that thing you'll have to make sure. Let me validate it and debug it. So I have already created the schema. So let me just try to execute this and see. This activity, right? If you want to make use of this activity, it is a little in the back end, right? You will have to have your Azure SQL created, on-premise SQL created. So database should be there. All the credentials should be there. So once that is there, it will take very small time. Okay, very little time it will take. But if you do not have those, and if you want to start from scratch, then it will take time. Okay, create the database, create the server, and then make use of the IP address whitelisting should be done. Okay, so those things are already available. So if they are available, you can just create it. So seems like, okay, dim account does not exist. Maybe this is because I do not have my dim account inside my target side. Okay, target side, this schema is not available. So that is why I'm just getting that error, not an issue. Let us see for the other remaining files. What happened? This is for dim employee.
No,
Hmm?
nothing.
Ayyo. Table name parameter at the rate item dot sync name, that is the one which we will have to specify. And here concat truncate table, before loading the data I'm just trying to truncate it. That is also fine. And you are trying to create a parameter inside your sync side, and you are binding it here. You have created a parameter here, and then I'm just binding it. Okay, let me open this. This is my Azure SQL. So let us see what data we are having. Okay, that is because the schema is not available. But I have created, okay, this is the one which I have just created, right, this database. So that is why I'm getting this error. Okay, no problem. Let me execute the scenario. So here, right, if you see here I do not have schema. Okay. So this is the database and this is the server which I've just created in front of you, right? So that is why I do not have any schema. So that is why I'm getting issues. So let me open the other database wherein I have the schema. Mm. So let me open the scenario which I have created earlier. So even before that, let me just publish it. Okay. This is the only information, this is the only pipelines activities which you will be creating. Let me execute the one which I've already created. Okay. If you have the schema, you can easily migrate it. So this is the code for your, this is the code actually. Publish. I don't remember if I've created it here or where. Input file, let me see what this is having. Okay, account, employee, organization. This is on premise. On premise to Azure SQL. Okay. Okay. So in the backend, you will have to have your, account, employee, organization. The schema should be available. So if you have the schema, right, you will be able to migrate the data. Let me open this. Select. Or else, you know how to create this. Let me execute it. Okay, so what have I done is yesterday I have created a copy activity. Okay, you also follow this approach if you want to create a schema. Actually, you can create a schema by either, new table like this also you can create it. Click on the table. Here you can just specify a column name, data type, allow null or not. So whatever column names you want, you can either specify like that, or else there is another approach. If you want to follow that approach, which I have followed, you can also do that. So for that, right, suppose if you have n number of tables, so what you can do, if you have 10 tables or 5 tables, then you will have to create a copy activity. Okay. Initially, create a normal copy activity. Inside this copy activity, give your sources on-prem and your target as Azure SQL. So provided your linked service for both and data sets for both are created. So once you create it, it is a simple file transfer, right? Like you use your copy activity. What you will do, you'll just specify the table name there. Just specify the table name, whatever table you want to run in the first iteration. If you want dim employee, just specify that dim employee, and at the target side also just specify whatever name you want to be created. That name you can also specify. Okay. Just run this particular copy activity. For the first iteration, if you copy it, whatever data is present inside your dim employee will be copied to your dim employee at the target end. Okay, similarly, run it for the second time, run it for the third time. So after doing that, what you can do is you can come back to this, and if you execute it, you will be having data. So what you will have to do is you have to truncate a table, whatever table name you have, you can just truncate that. So if you truncate that, that particular data will be there, right? That data will be lost, and only the headers, this is nothing but schema will be intact and data will be lost. Okay, if you run this query, right, truncate table name, data will be lost and only the schema will be available. So just make sure that you create three different schemas and then truncate the three different. Once you load the data, you truncate it. Okay, so once that is ready, you can just make use of this particular pipeline which we have just created. Okay, so in the backend, that is what which is essential actually. Okay, so now I can run this scenario and let me just show you debug. So I have copy inside my for each activity. I have three tables. So for each table, one copy activity will run, and three times it will be successful. And at the end, in the sync side, you will be able to see the data inside your tables. Okay. See here, one thing has been copied. Let me just see what is the one which was copied. I have rows read 99, rows copied 99. What is the table name here? So two are copied. 99 rows, 99 rows, connection. Okay, if you see here, this here you can see the table name. Okay, in the input, go to the copy activities input. You can see this is one table. This is my dim employee table. So if you see here, select a star from, what did I write here? I have written item dot that particular source dot that particular source table, item dot source table. So for every iteration, it will change the name. Okay. All right. So now my data is copied. Now let me just execute this and let me see if it has been moved or not. See here, now the data has moved. What are the number of records? 99. So similarly, check with the select star. What is my second table? It is my dim organ. Let me see in the file itself so that I will have a clarity. Open it, preview it. Employee organization account. Account I have seen, now employee. Okay, I have, it is returning me the rows. So that is for employee, and similarly you can also search for your particular whatever the third table is there. If the data has been moved or not, you can just go and see. Okay, let me iterate this once again. So go to your pipeline. Initially, whatever files, whatever tables you want to move, you will have to give a input. Okay, inside your input, you will have to create a file which will be something like this. Okay, which will be something like this. Give the serial name, source table, and target table. Just give, if you have 10 tables, give those 10 table names here. You list those 10 tables here, and then similarly, whatever name you want to name it, you can just specify those also at the target end. After that, what you will have to give it to your lookup activity. Lookup activity will actually look up the data. So one by one, it will get you the details. Okay. So what is the output of your lookup activity? The output will be something like this. This will be the output. So after this, what are you supposed to do? You will have to use your for each activity. Inside that for each activity, it will actually work with arrays. So you will have to pass output dot value. Okay, inside your for each activities items we have, right? So here you will have to pass output dot value. Okay, output dot value you will have to pass. So that means inside your for each activity, you're trying to copy. So what are you trying to copy? You're trying to copy from source table to your target table. So if you want to copy from here to here, how can you copy? Select a star from that particular table name. If it is a simple table, then you can directly give your table name. Okay, or else you can also give your query. But that is not one. That is not for one particular table. I have multiple tables. If you want to write multiple tables query, how can you write it dynamically? This is how you will write it. Select a star from item dot source table. Item dot source table will fetch you the source table. So that will be at your source part, and then come to your sync part, create a parameter. Why am I creating a parameter? I'm creating a parameter because inside my sync I do not have only one. I have multiple things, right? So for that, if I want to specify the table name dynamically, how can I specify it? I'll have to specify it via current item dot sync table. So that is one thing which you'll have to remember. So for that, you'll have to create a table name parameter inside your sync data set, and then you will have to bind it. You will be creating it here, you will be binding it here. Coming to the pipeline, you will be using it and you will be passing the value here. So that is fine till then. But if you feel like there is already data present inside your table, if you want, before every load, if you want to remove the data and then only you want to load, for that we have a query called as truncate table name. So you will have to specify truncate table name, and table name is nothing but dynamic table, right? So this we will be getting from here, sync table, item dot sync table. This will fetch you the, for every iteration it will give you the new table name. Okay, whatever table name is specified here, right, it will be created, that particular thing will be created. But here one limitation which we have is, whatever things you want to move to your destination, schema should be available. Okay, and just blindly remember that if you are just moving one table, you do not have to create a schema, because automatically schema will be created. But if you have n tables, it will not understand, right? So that is why you will have to create schema before moving it. If you do not create schema, like we have received error, right, in the previously, so like that you will be receiving errors. Okay, all right, is it clear? Any doubts, let me know.
Can you tell me once again about this schema, ma'am?
Schema, right? So basically, if you want to create a schema, so in yesterday's session, I have told you, where is that? Uh, One copy activity we have done, right, from on-premise to Azure SQL. Okay, so just assume that your sync is your Azure SQL here. Okay, so how can
Okay.
you create the schema? So for that, right, you will have to give your appropriate source data set, source linked service, target data set, and target linked service. Assume that you have already given. After that, what you can do, since it is your and this is related to your on-premise SQL server, right? So either you can choose table or you can choose that particular query. Okay, if you choose your query, what you're supposed to do, select star from first table. What is that first table? Dim employee. Okay, so this thing you can pass in this query. You can either do that or else go to the table and here open this data set. Here you will have to browse that particular table. Okay, you can just browse that particular table. So either you can query this particular table or else you can just directly specify the table name. Okay, and then what you will do, you will just execute this, validate it and execute it. So for the first time, that will be moved. Okay, this particular data will be moved to your Azure SQL. So you will have to do it same for the second table also. Change the table name and then move it. So for the third time also, change the table name and move it. So once you move it, the data will be present inside your Azure SQL, right? Come back to your Azure SQL, just run this truncate table name. Why am I doing that? That is because I do not want to have some any data. Okay, because I want to run this multiple data. If you want to create your schema, how can you create it? You can either create it by right clicking here and then clicking on new. This page will be open. You can just specify the column name, data type and all, and then next like that also you can do. Okay, and that thing also you can do, or else you can follow this copy approach also. Simple, create a copy activity, give your source and target data sets, then whatever table you want, right, just give that table and then run it. Give your second table, run it. Give your third table, run it. Once all the data is copied, go back to your destination side table and then delete whatever data is present. Just delete that. So doing that also, it will help you to remove the data and only schema will be remaining. Okay. So for that, you will have to run your truncate table name command. So that is just you're trying to create a schema. Now, what is your main intention? Your intention is to migrate multiple multiple tables from your on-premise system to your Azure SQL. So for that, you are just making it ready. So once you have everything ready, you will just create your pipeline, create a lookup activity for each activity. Inside that for each, give a copy activity, and then you'll just, these things I have already discussed. So you just run it. So once you run it, all the data will be copied successfully. Okay? Is it fine? Were you able to understand? So you
While
just,
we
yes.
are doing this truncated table, ma'am, is there any necessary for that, or we can ignore that
Yes.
one?
So yeah, so that is because I only want whatever source data is there. If source is having 100 records, I only want those 100 records to be moved. If there is already data present, if I again run it, what will happen? It will be appended, right? I do not want that. I only want whatever tables are there, only those tables to be copied. So in order to achieve that, what I am trying to do before loading itself, I am running a truncate command. Okay, where is that sync site? Here. I am
Yes,
running
ma'am. But while we are doing the copy thing, whatever the data, suppose 100 rows are present in the source data, those 100 only moving to the sync rate. Why are giving the truncated? Because it's a.
That is what I'm telling now. So you already have some schema. If you do not delete this data, right, what will happen if you're running it for the second time? Those 100 will not be overwritten. It will be appended in few cases. So you do not
Okay.
want that. So that is why you are just truncating it before loading. This is the approach we'll be following in each and every project.
Okay.
Okay, now. So before loading, you will truncate it so that whatever data is there, you do not want that. You only want the fresh data. Yesterday's data, day before yesterday's data, you do not want.
Okay.
Okay, na? So that is why you should always truncate before loading.
Got it.
Hmm. Okay, so that is our first topic. So did I change here anything? Okay, let me just close this also. Okay, so after that, what do we have? I want to load a Parquet file and move it to generation 2. So how can I load? So till now we have seen CSV data, we have seen table related data. So if I want to move a Parquet related file, so let me show you how this Parquet will actually look like. Parquet file is also file, something like you have a CSV file, right? So similarly we have a Parquet file also. Let me show you how that Parquet file will look like. This is not in the readable format, you cannot understand it. Okay, okay, let me show you here itself. Test files, nyc. Okay, so if you see here, what is the format? The format is Parquet format. So let me open it. So if you see here, this will be in Greek and Latin, you will not understand it. Okay. So if you want to load this data from one location to another location, you will have to make sure that the format, whichever you are choosing, right, that should be your Parquet format. Okay, let me create a new data set. So data set, you can just create any data set, but the format when you're choosing, these are all the different formats available. Okay, ORC, Avro, binary, JSON, Excel, Parquet, XML, CSV. CSV we have said. Now let me show you this Parquet. Here you will have to choose this Parquet based format. So just to create something called as ds underscore par, specify some linked service. Here this is nothing but this is for your blob storage, right? Let me write that also. Format is Parquet format, but what is the data set here? This is for my blob storage account, right? So that is why I'm just specifying it like this. All right, let me just click on this linked service, which is blob. Let me choose the file. Where do I have the file? It is residing inside my input container. Click on OK. Okay, so that is at your source side. So if you preview the data, so if you
Sorry,
just
ma'am.
normally,
Sorry to interrupt you. While we are browsing the data, we are always taking the option call none, right? But you are selected the from the connection of the store. Why?
I didn't get that. Repeat.
No, ma'am. Open this. When you are browsing the data,
Hmm.
browsing the file, not here. You already browsed it, right? Can you open that?
Here,
No, no, ma'am. You already given the path, right?
yeah,
In the
this
block.
one, this file.
Yeah.
Hmm.
No, while we are browsing the file, you are selecting always none, right?
None, yeah, you can choose none if you already have the file, right? If you already have the file, then you can just specify from connection store, or else you can just choose none. If you choose none, by default you choose none, you will not get any error. If you get any error, then just choose none. If you do not get any error, then you can just import from the connection store.
Okay.
Okay, now?
Yep.
Hmm.
Thank you.
So here you are choosing your particular data set. If you choose here, what are you able to see? This is in the Parquet format. Okay. So if you preview it normally, if you open and see, it will be like this. It will not, basically Parquet, right? It is something like column based storage. As you have your CSV file, what it will store? It will store in the format of row by row, row by row, row by row. It will be storing. Coming to this Parquet, it will not store in the row format. It will store in the column format. Okay. So one particular column's data will be at one side, and the other second column will be at the second side. All, if you have 100 data, 100 records also you have inside that Parquet format. So in one column, that is employee ID column is there, you have 10 people. So those all 10 information will be present at one place. So for the second record, so for the second column, that is your employee name column, you have 10 names. So those 10 names will be at one place. So basically this column, this particular Parquet format is there, right? That will store in the format of column based. Just remember that. Okay. So in order to convert this, and if you want this to be readable, what are you supposed to do? Just browse this particular file, place it in your data store, and the format which you're supposed to choose is your Parquet format. Okay. After that, just choose some log storage or whatever storage you want, wherever you want to move, just move.
Hello.
Yeah.
Nothing. It got stuck. That's right.
Okay, just specify whatever name you want, and then once you run it, right, what will happen? You will be able to move the data. Okay, you will be able to move the data, you will be able to actually read the data. Let me show you how it is readable. If you preview the data, see, it is readable now, right? So how is it readable? That is because you are choosing that particular format as Parquet format. And inside the data set, when you have chosen this particular blob data set, inside that you are choosing this Parquet. Instead of CSV, you have chosen Parquet. And the file format which you are sending is in the Parquet format. So basically, based on the format you are sending, you will have to choose the particular data set. So once you choose that, you will be able to read it. Okay. So once you read it, it is very simple. Like to copy the data, you will just give your targets data set and whatever name you want and whatever you want, right? You will just specify that, and then you'll run a validation and copy. So the data will be copied. All right. So this is how you can load the Parquet related data. Clear, right? If you want to read this Parquet file, how can you read it? You will have to read it using Parquet format option only. So if you just give any other option, right, it will throw you an error. So whatever format it is there, that particular extensions data set, you will have to browse it. Okay. Rows read these many, rows written these many. If you just go back and see output Parquet.csv I have created. Last but one. So it is having some this much MB of data, MIBs of data it is having. Okay. So you will have to only download it and see, because it is a huge file, right? It is a big file. If it is more than 2 MB, you cannot directly preview it here itself. Okay. If you want to see it, you will have to download it and then see it. All right. So that is about your Parquet data. Let me just publish it. Fine. Were you able to understand Parquet?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So similarly, like Parquet, we have other format also. Like what if you have any particular image? Okay. So let me just see some image. image, or be it any particular file, like be it an mp4 file or mp3 audio song, video recording, or else any image you have. If you want to move that image, how can you do it? You can do it using one format that is called as, I'll show you that also. Create a pipeline, use a copy activity. Copy it. Here you will have to browse the particular format. So even before that, let me see where is the file I have. Where is that particular file? I do not have any image file. Okay, so actually I had it somewhere. Hmm. Hmm. Where is that file? Okay, this is there, right? Let me just try to move this. So what is that? It is inside my test files. Let me upload it. Better. Okay, it is a PNG file. Okay, so now my intention is to copy this particular file from this location to another location. Okay, so how can I copy an image? You will have to create a new data set. Let it be a blob storage inside a blob storage. And here the format which you are supposed to choose is, can anybody tell me which format to choose here? Can anybody guess?
Binary. Binary.
Right.
A little up.
It
Not.
has not loaded.
Loaded
Let
there. It's already there. It's loaded
It's
there.
there now.
Sage it something. Yeah, it's
It's
there.
already there.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, let me click OK. And then go to the sync. Just give some blob. Open it. Okay, here you will have to remember one more thing. Sorry. Let me just discard it. At the sync end also it should be a binary only. Okay. Binary. Underscore blob underscore binary dataset 2. Let me create it. Let me browse one folder. Let me just put it here. Click on OK. Let me validate it and debug it. It is a simple activity. It's just that you will have to choose your whatever data is there. For that appropriate data, you will have to choose your data set. Okay.
Okay.
And once we create all these things, if we need to delete the data, what should we do? Can we directly go and delete resource group links, and everything will be
Resource group,
deleted?
so you will not have access to delete those. Those admin will be having. If you are working in a project now, you will not be having those access.
No, generally we are working with the free trial version, right? So if we keep those things on the device, all the credits will be expired, right? So
Yes. So it is better to delete it. No problem. Okay. So this is my sync side, and I'm able to successfully move the data from one location to another location. All right.
Yeah.
Let me publish it. Okay, just let me know if you have any doubts, or else we can wind up for today.